Every dime looks small, but some carry big value, especially silver dimes made before 1965. Collectors pay high prices for rare dates, mint marks, and error varieties. Check your change, because that old dime could be worth way more than 10 cents. The 1977 United States one-dime coin may look like just another Roosevelt dime that millions of Americans carried in their pockets. But what makes it truly fascinating is how certain varieties and errors have transformed these 10-cent pieces into highly sought-after treasures. For most people, the dime is an everyday coin used in vending machines, payphones of the time, or simply tossed into a change jar at the end of the day. Yet, for collectors, the 1977 dime holds a special place in numismatics because it not only reflects the history of its era but also shows how a simple minting mistake can turn a common coin into something worth far more than face value. To start, we need to remember that the Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the previous year. By 1977, the coin had already been in circulation for more than 3 decades, and the design remained largely unchanged. The obverse features Roosevelt's profile, designed by John R. Sinek, while the reverse carries the torch flanked by olive and oak branches, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. In 1977, both the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced dimes, and together they struck hundreds of millions of them, making the coin seem quite ordinary at first glance. But within these massive mintages, mistakes occurred, and those mistakes are where the true excitement lies. One of the most notable categories of errors for the 1977 dime comes from off-center strikes. These happen when a coin blank, called a planchet, is not properly seated in the press when the dies come down. Instead of the design being perfectly centered, it shifts, leaving part of the coin blank. A minor off-center might not command much value, but when the strike is dramatic, say 50% off-center with the date still visible, the value climbs quickly. Examples of such off-center 1977 dimes have sold for hundreds of dollars at auctions, proving just how appealing they are to error collectors. Another class of errors involves double strikes. A 1977 dime that was struck once, then struck again without being properly ejected, can show 2 overlapping designs. Sometimes the second strike is only slightly misaligned, giving the coin a ghostly doubled appearance. Other times, the second strike lands at a noticeable angle, creating a dramatic effect that makes the coin instantly recognizable as an error. Double-struck 1977 dimes have been known to sell for several $100s, with particularly bold examples fetching over $1,000. Wrong planchet errors are among the most dramatic for the 1977 dime. Imagine a Roosevelt dime struck on a foreign coin blank or on a planchet intended for a different U.S. denomination. These coins often weigh less or more than they should, and their color can look unusual. One famous example is a 1977 dime struck on a penny planchet, giving the coin a coppery appearance rather than its usual silvery look. Such coins are rare and highly prized, often bringing several $1,000s at major auctions. Broad strike errors are another fascinating variety from 1977. When a coin is struck without the restraining collar in place, it spreads outward, producing a dime that is wider and flatter than normal. The details of the design are still there, but the shape looks off. Broad-struck dimes from 1977 have sold for anywhere from $100 to $300, depending on the condition and severity of the strike. Partial collar strikes, sometimes called railroad rim errors because of the way the edge looks, are also collected from this year, usually fetching similar values. Double die errors, though not as common on 1977 dimes as in other years, can still appear. On such coins, the doubling can usually be seen on the date, the motto Liberty, or the lettering In God We Trust. While subtle examples may only bring modest premiums, strong double dies are always exciting discoveries for collectors and can reach into the hundreds of dollars when authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC. Auction houses have seen some incredible prices for 1977 dime errors. An especially rare wrong planchet error, for instance, sold for several $1,000s because it combined both rarity and visual appeal. Off-center examples with sharp, dramatic misalignments have sold in the $400 to $600 range, while double-struck coins have crossed the $1,000 mark in certified mint state condition. These sales prove that even a coin worth only 10 cents can turn into a true collector's prize if it bears a striking error. One reason Why collectors are so interested in the 1977 dime is that it represents a time in American coinage when minting technology was modern enough to produce high-quality coins consistently, yet errors still slipped through the cracks. Unlike earlier decades where manual processes allowed for more frequent mistakes, the 1970s were an era of increasingly efficient production. That makes the surviving errors from 1977 even more desirable, because they stand out as rare exceptions in a sea of uniform coins. Stories of people discovering error dimes in circulation always fuel the imagination. Imagine being someone in 1977 who opened their pocket change only to find a dime that looked completely wrong. A copper-colored dime, or one with the design sliding off to the side. Many people might have spent such coins without a second thought, but a lucky few held on to them. Today, those decisions can pay off in surprising ways, since the same dime that might have bought a piece of candy in the late 70s could now sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Collectors today continue the hunt for these error dimes in change jars, bank rolls, and coin collections passed down through families. The thrill lies in the possibility that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight. A simple magnifying glass and a sharp eye can reveal a doubling on the lettering, an unusual rim, or a misaligned strike. And with grading services available to authenticate these coins, collectors can turn an unusual find into a certified treasure that commands strong prices at auction. The 1977 dime also has educational value for collectors. It teaches the importance of looking closely at small details, of recognizing the difference between ordinary wear and true mint errors, and of understanding the minting process. Each error tells a story about what went wrong during production, whether it was a misaligned die, a foreign planchet slipping into the press, or a collar malfunction. By studying these coins, collectors gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of modern minting and the rarity of mistakes that survive. Ultimately, the 1977 Roosevelt dime proves that no coin should be overlooked. While billions were struck and most are worth just their face value of 10 cents, the rare errors and varieties stand as hidden gems waiting to be discovered. Auctions have shown time and again that the right 1977 dime error can bring jaw-dropping prices. Some of the most dramatic examples have sold for over $1,000, with wrong planchet strikes climbing even higher into the thousands. That means a coin someone once thought of as pocket change can now be a collector's dream SO. The next time you come across a 1977 dime, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Look closer. Check the details of the strike, study the edges, and pay attention to the date and lettering, because you might just find that your 10-cent piece is worth far more than its face value. You might be holding a coin that tells the story of a rare minting mistake, a coin that collectors are eager to pay hundreds or even thousands for at auction, and a coin that turns ordinary change into an extraordinary treasure. The 2001 United States one-dime coin might seem like just another Roosevelt dime that millions of Americans spent on parking meters, vending machines, or simply stashed away in change jars without a second thought. But for collectors who know where to look, the 2001 dime carries with it a fascinating story of mistakes, rarity, and incredible auction values that have stunned even seasoned numismatists. While most of these coins remain worth only their face value of 10 cents, a small number of them left the mint with errors so striking that they turned what was supposed to be an ordinary dime into a collector's treasure worth thousands of dollars. And when these rare examples have surfaced at major auctions, their prices have climbed far beyond what anyone would expect for such a small coin, with standout specimens reaching astonishing figures. To appreciate why the 2001 dime is such a point of interest, we first need to understand its design and context. The Roosevelt dime has been in circulation since 1946, created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. John R. Sinek's design became one of the most enduring in U.S. coinage, with Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse and the reverse featuring a torch flanked by branches of oak and olive, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. By 2001, this design had already been in use for over half a century, a symbol of continuity in American pocket change. That year, both the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced tens of millions of dimes. With such large numbers struck, quality control was expected to be tight. Yet despite modern minting technology, mistakes slipped through, and those errors are the ones collectors seek so eagerly today. Error coins tell the story of what happens when something goes wrong in the minting process. For the 2001 dime, some of the most dramatic and valuable errors involve off-center strikes. In these cases, the coin blank wasn't properly centered in the press when struck, leaving the design shifted so that part of the coin shows blank space. While minor off-centers aren't worth much, dramatic ones, where half of the coin is missing design but the date remains visible, are the showstoppers. Collectors love these because they make the coin look so unusual. Examples of bold off-center 2001 dimes have sold for hundreds of dollars, and some certified mint state pieces have crossed into the $1,000 range. Another class of errors that collectors prize are double strikes. When a coin fails to eject after the first strike and is struck again, the second impression overlaps with the first, creating ghostly outlines or tilted duplicates of the design. On a dime as small as the Roosevelt, this effect can be strikingly dramatic. A double-struck 2001 dime where the second strike is clearly visible has been auctioned for over $2,000 in pristine condition. Wrong planchet errors are even more dramatic. These occur when a dime's design is mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, such as a cent or even a foreign coin. Imagine a dime with the proper Roosevelt design but a copper-colored surface like a penny. It looks instantly unusual, and such coins are exceptionally rare. Collectors have paid thousands of dollars for these mistakes. At one auction, a 2001 dime struck on a cent planchet sold for over $7,000, proving that when rarity meets visual appeal, the prices skyrocket. Broad strike errors and partial collar strikes also add variety to the 2001 dime error list. A broad strike happens when the retaining collar fails, allowing the metal to spread outward during striking, creating a wider and thinner coin than normal. While less dramatic than some other mistakes, these are still popular among collectors and usually bring anywhere from $100 to $300, depending on the severity. Partial collar strikes, which create a distinct railroad rim look, have similar appeal. There are also reports of 2001 dimes with die cracks, cuds, and other die-related errors that bring in strong prices when the flaws are especially bold and easy to see. For example, a dime with a dramatic die break that alters the look of Roosevelt's portrait or the reverse design can capture collector attention quickly. These aren't just random flaws. They tell a story about the strain and eventual failure of the minting dies themselves. Auction records for 2001 dime errors have been nothing short of impressive. At heritage auctions and other major houses, collectors have seen off-center strikes sell for $800 to $1,200 depending on grade, while dramatic double strikes often cross the $2,000 threshold. Wrong planchet errors lead the pack, with copper-colored examples resembling cents or lightweight dime errors selling for as much as $7,000 or more. The excitement in the bidding rooms is fueled by the rarity of these coins, because out of the tens of millions struck in 2001, only a handful bear these kinds of mistakes. The thrill of the hunt keeps collectors coming back. For every 2001 dime that gets spent casually, there's the slim possibility that one hides an error worth hundreds or even thousands. Stories circulate of collectors finding unusual dimes in bank rolls or pocket change, holding on to them, and later discovering their value at auctions. The idea that a 10-cent coin could command thousands of dollars adds an irresistible mystery to the hobby. The 2001 dime also holds a special place because it represents modern coinage. By the early 2000s, minting technology was highly advanced, making errors far less common than in earlier decades. That makes the surviving mistakes from this year even more extraordinary. They are true outliers in an era when the mint had largely perfected mass production. Each one that surfaces becomes a prize, proof that even with the best machinery, perfection isn't always possible. One of the best auction results for a 2001 dime error involved a spectacular off-metal strike. The dime had been struck on a foreign planchet, and because of its lighter weight and unusual coloration, it drew immediate attention. Certified by a top grading service, it sold for just over $10,000. That kind of sale shows how far collectors are willing to go when rarity and error type combine to create something truly special. So when we talk about the 2001 dime, we're not just talking about a 10-cent coin. We're talking about the potential for hidden value, the excitement of discovery, and the passion of collectors who know that history and mistakes can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. The best auction prices have shown us time and again that the right 2001 dime error can bring in thousands, with the most dramatic examples climbing into 5 figures. It's proof that treasures can still hide in the smallest places. The next time you come across a 2001 dime, don't dismiss it as just another piece of change. Look closer. Check for off-center strikes, unusual coloring, double designs, or distorted shapes. Because while most 2001 dimes are worth just 10 cents, the rare errors among them have proven to be worth anywhere from hundreds to thousands, with the very best examples bringing jaw-dropping auction prices. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors searching, because you never know when your spare change could turn into a fortune hiding in plain sight. The 2005 United States one-dime coin is part of a series that most people barely notice in their day-to-day lives. It is small, lightweight, and has a value so ordinary that it is often overlooked or thrown into a change jar. But when it comes to coin collecting, the 2005 Roosevelt dime has proven that even modern pocket change can hide extraordinary treasures. Certain coins minted that year left the presses with mistakes that transformed them from simple 10-cent pieces into prized rarities worth hundreds, thousands, and in some cases even more when they appeared at major auctions. These errors are so fascinating not just because of the money they can bring in, but also because they highlight how a modern mint, with all its precision machinery and tight controls, can still produce coins with imperfections that make collectors' hearts race. The Roosevelt dime has been a fixture of U.S. coinage since 1946, designed by John R. Sinek to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting impact. The obverse carries Roosevelt's dignified profile, while the reverse features a torch flanked by olive and oak branches, representing liberty, peace, and strength. By 2005, the design had been in use for nearly 60 years, unchanged except for small modifications. Tens of millions of dimes were minted that year in Philadelphia and Denver, adding to the sea of coins in circulation. On the surface, the 2005 dime may seem completely ordinary. But within that massive production, mistakes happened, and those mistakes are where collectors see opportunity. Off-center strikes are one of the most popular errors collectors look for in the 2005 dime. When the planchet isn't properly centered in the press, the dies strike only part of the coin, leaving the rest blank. A slight off-center strike might not be particularly valuable, but when the design is dramatically shifted, sometimes up to half off the edge, while still showing the date, collectors pay attention. These coins have sold for hundreds of dollars, with high-grade certified examples fetching well over $1,000 depending on how dramatic the error looks. Double strikes are another exciting error for the 2005 dime. If the coin doesn't eject properly after the first strike, the dies hit it again, leaving a second overlapping or rotated design. The result is a dime with ghostly duplicate images of Roosevelt's portrait or the reverse torch, something that immediately stands out from an ordinary coin. Some double-struck 2005 dimes have sold for over $1,500 at auction, especially those that show the second strike at an obvious angle. Wrong planchet errors are among the most dramatic mistakes from 2005. Imagine pulling a dime from your pocket only to see that it looks copper-colored like a penny or smaller like a foreign coin. These errors happen when dime dies strike on a planchet intended for another denomination or even another country. Collectors prize them for their rarity and eye-catching differences. At auctions, 2005 dimes struck on wrong planchets have sold for several $1,000s, with some topping $7,000 when well-preserved and certified. Broad strikes and partial collar strikes add yet another layer of variety. In a broad strike, the retaining collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking isn't used, so the coin spreads out wider and thinner than normal. These errors aren't as rare as some others, but they're very collectible. Broad-struck 2005 dimes often sell in the $100 to $300 range. Partial collar strikes, sometimes called railroad rim errors, occur when part of the coin is restrained by the collar while the other part spreads outward. These also bring in premiums, particularly when the effect is dramatic and visible. Die-related errors like die cracks, cuds, or die clashes also surface on 2005 dimes. A cud, which is a raised blank area caused by a piece of the die breaking off, can appear on Roosevelt's head or around the rim, making the coin unique. Die cracks create lines across the surface, sometimes resembling lightning bolts. Die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leave faint outlines of the opposite design on the coin. These coins usually sell for smaller amounts, ranging from $50 to several $100 depending on severity, but strong examples can capture collector attention. Auction houses have shown just how valuable 2005 dime errors can be. Off-center strikes in pristine condition have sold for around $1,200. Double-struck coins have passed the $1,500 mark. And wrong planchet examples, particularly the ones struck on copper-colored cent planchets, have soared to $5,000 or more. One standout piece, a 2005 dime struck on a foreign planchet, realized over $8,000 at a major auction because it combined rarity, visual impact, and strong collector demand. What makes the 2005 dime so intriguing is that by this time the mint's production systems were extremely modern, with advanced quality control. Errors were becoming rarer compared to earlier decades, which makes surviving mistakes from this year even more exciting for collectors. They are the exceptions that slipped through in an age when near perfection was expected, which is exactly why they attract such high values when they appear. The thrill of finding one of these errors is part of the appeal. Imagine someone in 2005 pulling change from a vending machine and noticing a dime that looked off. Maybe copper-colored, maybe wider than usual, or maybe with part of the design missing. At the time, they might have tossed it aside as junk or simply used it again, unaware of its potential value. But for the person who recognized it for what it was and saved it, that dime could now represent thousands of dollars at auction. Stories like these fuel the passion of collectors who continue to check their change even today, because treasures like these often appear where you least expect them. The educational side of studying 2005 dime errors also adds to their appeal. Each mistake tells a story about what went wrong in the minting process. Whether it was a planchet error, a striking misalignment, or a die issue, collectors learn to recognize the signs of these mistakes, distinguishing genuine mint errors from post-mint damage. That knowledge not only makes collecting more engaging but also protects buyers from being misled. The 2005 dime proves that modern coins can be just as collectible and exciting as older ones. While billions of dimes struck that year remain worth only 10 cents, the rare errors have shown time and again at auctions that they can reach into the thousands, with some of the best examples breaking into 5 figures. This contrast between ordinary and extraordinary is what makes error collecting so addictive. The idea that among the coins we use every day, there could be hidden gems waiting to be discovered, so the next time you come across a 2005 dime, don't overlook it. Examine it closely. Check if the design is off-center, if there's doubling, if the coin looks too wide, or if the color seems unusual. Because while nearly every 2005 dime is worth only face value, the rare errors among them have proven to be worth hundreds, thousands, and in some cases, life-changing amounts at auction. It's the kind of story that keeps collectors searching, reminding us that even in the smallest of coins, extraordinary value can be hiding in plain sight.